What is better than a game reveal rumor? Multiple game reveal rumors. Yeah, this is a leak that comes directly from Nvidia itself. Now, Nvidia have come out and gone, we can't accept that. That's not true. I mean, it might be true. It's not true. It could be true, but we're not saying it's true, or not saying it's true, but it could be, and that's why we're not saying it is. Gonna be a good one. Yes, this is a guy who didn't exactly hack Nvidia servers, but it's definitely the case of showing what happens when a man has more than 3 minutes spare time on his hands. It's just too much. He gets himself into trouble, and that is what happened here. But it always reminds me of Gabe Newell's advice in this, that nobody is smarter than the internet, and he said later on and expanded on that, and that you have to stop thinking that you're in charge. You have to start thinking of it like a dance. One thing we learned is that don't ever try to lie to the internet because they'll catch you. And that is exactly what this guy did. You wouldn't think that anyone would go to this much effort, but he did. Yes, he unlocked Nvidia Now, and he actually went through the story, and Nvidia has now closed this, or at least they tried, because every time they tried to close one of his access points, he just said, but you haven't closed this bit. And it's not as if he didn't tell him. He wrote a blog about it. He explained literally what he'd done. And it all started with the fact that he wanted to play games on Nvidia Geforce Now, and they removed them. And he was like, well, the files are probably still on your system. I wonder if I can access them. And so he found his way through, and he started trying to find different databases to try and download new information. Found a way to get hold of games that weren't actually meant to be available on the system. It worked. But he was curious, as you are in these situations, and he thought, what happens if I can just find out an entire list of everything that's on there? Then I might actually be able to download some stuff I shouldn't be able to. It's because he succeeded and found 18,000 items on there, a lot of which are not meant to be, or at least they weren't even meant to be revealed. So got his own proxy server set up, and he downloaded them all. He found lots of different things. Like, it wasn't just games. There was things like Twitch Studio and apps, which they were probably just using for game creation, or Nvidia were using as sort of local tools. But then he started to find games which had never been released. Like Mafia Definitive Edition was never supposed to be on that system at all, and yet there it was. And it got further down. Like, you've got God of War, which is a PlayStation exclusive, but it's actually listed as for Steam on here. It gets very, very weird. But the strangest part is further down, where he found the Dolphin emulator on there, which is used for Nintendo games. And then he found out there was actually Super Mario Brothers on there, which could only be played with the Dolphin emulator. But when you actually click it, what do you find? Well, you find it's got Nvidia Confidential written on it, which would make sense, considering what they've done has been claimed by Nintendo to be illegal. You can't copy the game in any way, shape, or form, even if you own it. If you download the ROM, that is an illegal pirated copy of the game as far as Nintendo is concerned, and they're pretty certain in their rights in this scenario. So, according to that, unless Nvidia got explicit permission from Nintendo to do this, which they may well have done, then that's a weird, dodgy copy if they didn't. And I would say that the Nvidia Confidential at least means that Nvidia knows that, no one else should get hold of this ever, or probably even find out that this exists. There's got to be a reason for that. But the interesting part came when Pavel came here, and I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name because it doesn't look like it has enough vowels for me to even attempt to pronounce. But he actually runs SteamDB, and so he filtered it through all of the different Steam IDs and came back with a list of things which don't have a Steam ID associated with them, but there's names that exist. But he still came back with this, and as you can see, just from me scrolling, that list was halfway down. This is the entire list of just me scrolling at a reasonable speed, and I'm still going about halfway down here, and we're still going. Now we're 3/4 of the way down, still scrolling, now we're at the bottom. That is a lot of IDs. Far too many to actually come out with anything, but we've got it filtered down to some of the most interesting things. What you find are things like God of War, Returnal, and Demon's Souls, all of which aren't on PC, but could be. And this is the kind of thing that would make sense, considering they actually bought Nixis to try and convert some of the PlayStation games over to PC in the first place. So this kind of isn't unexpected. And there's other things, like there's GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas Remasters. There's other titles, Human Fall Flat, Total War 9, Helldivers, Halo 5, Guardians for PC. Now, this is where the story gets a little bit funky, because we actually have Brian Jared coming out and going that maybe this was for Halo 5 Forge, but there is no bringing Halo 5 to PC. We know there's demand for it, but at the moment, we're working on Infinite and the Master Chief Collection. Never say never, but nothing is currently underway. And the issue with phrasing like this, the internet will remember everything and they will deconstruct your spin, is we don't actually know if this is accurate, because it makes sense that they're working on Halo Infinite at the moment. It's coming out in a few months. So it would make sense if they'd pulled all their developers in order to get that finished. So yes, there's currently no work going on the port, but it doesn't mean there wasn't in the past, and doesn't mean there wasn't in the future. So while he's claiming this is Halo 5 Forge, which I didn't know anything about, can I get my camera off? There we go. Halo 5 Forge, I didn't even know about this. Halo's not exactly my area of expertise, but this was ported back in 2016. So admittedly, it could just be some kind of old listing that had been put in there, or they just added in all of their stuff over the platform and just made names for it. Anything's possible at this point, but he didn't say there was never work done on it, and he says that there might be work in the future, and it kind of makes sense if it was ported over eventually, especially given how things are. Even PlayStation's porting things over now, and Xbox have really shown that they want to bring everything across, so I wouldn't be surprised. And in fact, we actually have Nvidia admitting that the list is indeed genuine. Nvidia is aware of an unauthorized published game list with both released and or speculative titles used only for internal tracking and testing. Inclusion on the list is neither confirmation nor an announcement of any game. That's PR speak for, we didn't actually say anything there, but we hope you think we did. So look, we've got this list, and what we know about it is that these are all games which have at some point had a listing being created on there, but it's not confirmation or an announcement, which no one thought it was. An announcement's only done by the original game, and confirmation is also only done by the original studio. Obviously, neither of those things are true, but some people are suggesting that, this entire list is just things which Nvidia probably just made it up. They just wanted database entries for kind of testing things. But as I've shown you, this list is massive. I don't think anyone would make up this many game titles. They're not going to make up 18,000 titles. Or even if a lot of them are true, they're not even still going to make up like 1,000 various ones. And there's also parts of this which mean that they probably didn't. And that is the fact that it actually has Xbox codenames in there, which we know are true. Even things that we didn't know are true also now fit in with other people that have now gone and double-checked the information. I don't think that Nvidia would go and make codenames up. I don't think that they'd actually, if anything, if they're going to make database titles, they would actually just go and make up names. The last thing you want are database entries, which could turn out to be actual games and just confuse yourself about what's real, what's theirs, and what isn't. You might as well just call them Apple, Orange, and random different dictionary names. It would make far more sense than actually getting a guy to creatively just put down his favorite games that may or may not exist. So while we can't actually make out that this is confirmation of any games, obviously, you should treat these as rumors, as leaks, and treat them with any sort of pinch of salt that you would with any of those things. It still has a bit more effort behind it. It's still a bit more reliable, because at the end of the day, these were probably put in by the developers. Yes, it doesn't mean they're currently being worked on. It doesn't mean that they're about to be announced. But at some point in the past, the developers thought that these things were likely enough to at least be considered, at least to make an entry about them. There was at some point probably tested. Now, games take a lot of energy and effort to create, so yes, lots of projects are created, thought about, and dropped. Just because they're in the list doesn't mean they're being worked on anymore. But this isn't like some 4chan rumor. I like the idea, even if just as a thought experiment, that these things could be coming. That these things are stuff that the developers at one point thought that there might be enough interest in to make a game. At least to put in some minimal amount of effort in order to get them listed on a device. So while these things may never actually see the light of day, they may come out as other titles, or they may just be dropped or kind of merged into other projects, other games, and whatever they think will be more successful. I'd still be very happy if a lot of the games on this list actually came out to exist. God of War, maybe not so much given what we've just seen of the most recent one. And as the article actually says, we understand that Nvidia Geforce Now and other cloud streaming services have played a more prominent role throughout the whole cough. providing remote access to work from homes. A lot of the people might be working on laptops or really underpowered computers that were just the only thing available at the time. You have to remember, when everyone started working from home, you couldn't exactly just get advanced computing hardware, and so people just had to make do with whatever they had, which may have been severely underpowered laptops. So Nvidia Geforce Now would give them that extra power, that third-party workspace, to actually allow them to get stuff done. It makes a lot of sense, and it could be why there's so many titles. So many in-work developed titles, or at least titles that they were thinking about at the time. It would also make sense why there could just be references to a lot of titles that were in extremely beginning stages of just brainstorming ideas for the future and what they could actually do. Could they get this to work? How much effort would be taken in order to actually bring that product to market? You have very, very seed beginner ideas in there in the list. It doesn't mean they weren't thought about or won't come in the future. So I kind of like this leak. I like this rumor because it's more than just someone making stuff up. These were the original ideas, the core foundations of what could turn into products. This is whether they actually exist or not, it at least gives you an idea of the pathway, the thought process of where games could be going, especially for the series listed in this. Whether these things will ever actually come into existence, we don't know. But as far as our knowledge goes, they're a hell of a lot more likely today than they were yesterday. So, as Nvidia says, you can't take these as confirmation. These aren't announcements, they're just rumors and speculation. But when people think about it, if the monetary reward is there, they'll probably get round to it eventually. And if they're not, at least we know they're playing confidential Mario games on their systems. There could have been a hell of a lot more dodgy content found on their servers. So if this is what they consider confidential, if what confidential to them is new Super Mario Brothers, then hey, they probably don't have that much to worry about. But for now, that's it from me. If you liked the video, press like and subscribe for more videos in the future, and let me know what you thought of the leaks down below. Is there anything on the list that you're excited for? Are you surprised that actually developers are using GeForce Now as much as they actually are? I was. I never even thought of it from a business point of view. But for now, that's it from me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.